Roger Goodell has had probably the roughest year in his tenure. Why does he continue to get so much support from the owners?
Well, first on the rough side of his tenure, it's interesting you say tenure because it's been defined as the conduct commissioner. It's been something so important to him. We can debate why, but this archaic notion of role modeling and players holding themselves to a high standard, he's been that, and now he's had a rebuke. He's had a repudiation from an independent arbitrator, Judge Jones, who basically called him out, as you would say, and said, this is not the way to handle things. This was inconsistent. This was not a good process. You had no note-taking. You had no transcript. Seems like you're making up it as it goes along, as if to say that. So you're right, a bad year on the credibility and discipline side. However, the people that matter are not you and I and not the public, but they are the owners. And the owners think highly of Roger Goodell. Business is booming. They have a player-friendly CBA in place. They have asset values skyrocketing. The Buffalo Bills just sold for $1.4 billion. Metrics are high. TV ratings are soaring. So all is good in that category. So despite all this negativity with off-field issues, Roger Goodell seems to have his stock high in the people that matter.
Andy, what would it take for the owners to lose confidence in Goodell?
It's a good question, and I asked it to a couple ownership sources that I know. And really, if there was some kind of not so much just not following a great process as we've seen in the Rice case, but really some malfeasance, really some lying, if you will, that would have to be involved. The one thing I think we'll see, though, is some kind of abdication of total power where the owners will come to him because, again, they're the people that matter, and say, Roger, listen, you don't need to have all this on your plate, all this player conduct, all this personal conduct discipline. Let's get an independent panel. Let's get other people involved. Let's get domestic violence people involved and keep you out of it, keep you running the game, keep you involved with on-the-field issues. That, I think, is the most that's going to happen here.
So what happens with Ray Rice? We've just covered what's the most that's going to happen to Roger Goodell. What's the most that could happen to Ray Rice? There's a long list of NFL players who have committed indiscretions at the very least, and worse, off the field, who've ended up back playing again.
Well, I think the worst that's going to happen to Ray Rice in terms of on-field is that he has seen his last days on-field. And let me address that. There's rumors about teams being interested. I was a former agent. You know, you try to put out rumors of interest so other teams get interested. I know the game. But interest can mean, hey, they called and they said, is he in shape or something like that. I don't think he'll sign in 2014. I just think, go ahead.
But, I mean, why? I mean, you know, Michael Vick was, like, killing dogs. It doesn't really get much worse than that as far as your public persona.
It does. It does.
Well, okay, but Michael Vick went to prison. Okay, good point. It does. There have been NFL players that have killed people recently. But Michael Vick didn't go that far. He still served time in prison and came back to an NFL team. So, I mean, Janae, Ray Rice's wife, says this is the first time and the last time. You got to, if you want to take her word for it, that's what she says. Listen to what she said on the Today Show this morning.
For them to look past this situation, which I know is going to be hard, but at the end of the day, he's a football player, and that's what they should really be focused on, because he's proven himself as a football player for 7 years. There's never been a question of what he can do on the field.
Okay, so regardless of whether or not you believe her claims that he hasn't been violent in the past, you got to believe that he's a football player, the same as Michael Vick, and he's going to sort of do his time in the public eye and then go back, right?
I agree with all that. I think the issue here is timing. You know, we've got 4 weeks left in the 2014 NFL season and then the playoffs. For a team to bring someone into a locker room now with 4 games left, if you're a bad team, hey, it's over in 4 weeks. If you're a good team, you're moving towards the playoffs and you're trying to get your team ready. I just think it's hard. Even if he didn't have baggage with him, it's hard to come in. That's why I think this is all a 2015 decision, and you bring up Vick. I consulted with the Eagles when they brought in Vick in 2009, a month removed from Leavenworth Prison. And it's a C-level decision. You go from top down, ownership down to management. And I remember bringing Vic in, and we had a lot of pushback from our corporate sponsorship people and public relations and community relations because they knew the onslaught. We had to keep it quiet so it couldn't get out, so they didn't know until he was actually signed. And there you talk about emotion and picketers. And, of course, the team that signs Ray Rice, you're going to have that video shown over and over again. But that will fade. So if you sign him in March or April or June or July, that will fade. And if you get into the season next year, that all becomes not history, but in the past as you go forward.